Hello, Steve White, Steve Arts 89. Well, I watched Flux. I finished watching Flux. Now, I had a difficult time with Flux. I hadn't planned to watch Flux. I haven't watched season 11 and 12, so I was going to start from the beginning. But I just was flicking through the channels and there was Doctor Who, and I thought, it's the start of the episode, I might watch it. I guess I kind of assumed it was like a one-off episode. I didn't kind of realise. And also didn't realise I was 12 minutes in. So I watched that episode, and then I forgot to watch the next one. And then the fourth one was coming up, so I watched the third one on streaming and then the fourth one live. And I did a bit of a review of that. And I was kind of following it because I realised I'd missed the first episode and probably the start of the second episode. So I wasn't too harsh on it, but I did find you seem to needed to know a lot of knowledge about the characters and the lore to actually get into it. So I found that a bit confronting because that's why I haven't gotten into Doctor Who. I've been interested in it for years, but it's just so complicated and there's so many episodes and so many seasons and so many doctors and so many episodes missing. I have not been able to find a way in that doesn't require dedicating months of time to actually watch stuff. So I've been trying to sort of look at the Jodi Whittaker era and the criticism of it from the outside, which is a bit tricky. So this time, again, I forgot to watch the fifth episode and then the sixth episode. I'm like, well, I guess I'm streaming them then. So I thought, okay, do I stream the whole lot or do I just watch the first episode? Because the second and third episodes felt a bit standalone. So I thought, I think I can just go back and watch the first episode. I don't need to watch the second and third again. So I watched episode 1 and then episode 5 and 6. Because I just remember 2 from TV and 3 and 4 from streaming. And it started off with a really ridiculous bad CGI action scene with the Doctor and Yaz on some sort of hovering thing, and it was like, wow, okay. Then they got into the Sultanas. I want to call it Sultanas. I know I shouldn't, but that's the word that keeps going in my head when I think of them. Yeah, and they did set up them taking over, occupying Earth, and also the character, what was his name? Joseph Williamson, who was preparing tunnels for the future and so forth, and that was an element I didn't even realise was in the story, really. And then we get into the other episode, the episode where they go back in time. I did watch the first 12 minutes of that, which I had missed. Then we have this historic battle with the Sultanas who weren't supposed to be there. Yeah, and then we had the episode where they were all lost in time because Doctor Who was trying to save them from being destroyed, being killed at the end of the second episode, so they ended up in different points of time and she was trying to find them and so forth. Then they had the Weeping Angels episode back in the 60s, the Village of the Weeping Angels, or Village of the Angels, I think it was. And then we get to episode 5 and 6. Now, Survivors of Flux, gosh, I really felt like there was a lot of exposition and a lot of required knowledge that I didn't have, and following parts of it was very difficult, and I'm not 100% sure it was me or the show. I'm hearing a lot of people criticising Chris Chibnall and saying his writing is not good, that he just he relies too much on, he doesn't explain things, things just happen because, and I'm sitting there looking like, trying to find the justifications for this happening or that happening, or feeling like, well, I've missed something here, I don't know something, and that's why I don't understand this, and I'm wondering, is it me or is it his writing? Because there are a lot of things that weren't explained. They were a bit confusing, and it was just, I really just felt like the whole time I was waiting for exposition and just being caught up. I was being told things were happening because they didn't seem to have the time to actually show them and move through them properly. Now, I don't know if that's because perhaps they had a bigger episode order and it got cut down, or that is just the way he writes. But it just felt fragmented. I feel like I needed to know too much, and I just felt like I was just sort of watching things happen. I didn't really feel like I was really a part of really understanding what was happening. So I didn't really enjoy it too much. I was sort of just watching things happen. And there are a lot of big epic things that were happening we got to see, and I'm getting the episodes a little bit mixed up. Like, we got to see the Flux actually take out a bunch of planets, and they did explain everything. But like I said, it felt like just a lot of exposition of things. And there was also the doubling down on the timeless child, and a lot of fans wanted them to get away from that. And they were hoping with the other writer coming back in to replace Chris Chibnall, that they were going to do this. But it looks like he's made a real effort to make sure they can't go back, that they have literally destroyed the universe and they've defined Doctor Who and changed everything, and they can't go back on it because there was some question that maybe they could have explained it away, and so forth. They really can't do that. He really seemed to be cementing this new mythology he created and put onto Doctor Who. And it seems to be a really selfish thing. Like, well, here's this 60-year-old franchise, and I'm just going to rewrite it all and do my version, which overwrites the other version that existed that people grew up with. It does seem really conceited, and it's also making it even harder for me to get into, because I'm like, well, does any of that matter now? And some people might say, well, now you can just step in. At this point, you don't have to know 6 years of history. I'm like, well, then what's the point? Like where is Doctor Who? If none of that matters. And then you go into explaining a multiverse, and that there's different universes, and they're outside of the universe, and they're trying to destroy the universe. The universe was ending, and they were trying to destroy the universe while moving into their own universe, a new universe, blah, blah, blah. And it was far too big. This is far too big and too complicated, and nothing you could really grasp onto and hold onto and actually relate to and like enjoy. I didn't feel part of the story in any way. Yeah. So I didn't really enjoy it. And how did it end up? I mean, they had the whole explanation of, and a few things weren't explained, or they were, but I'm not sure because there was exposition, but we didn't actually see it happen. So did it happen? Like, okay, so the idea was that the whole universe was being eaten away, and the last thing that was going to be destroyed was the Earth. So when we got down to the Earth was protected by the ships, and the Sultanas had, they were trying to trick the Daleks and the Cybermen into showing up so they could basically be fed to the flux so that it would cancel out the antimatter with matter, and they could somehow, the Sultanas could somehow survive and save the universe and take over the universe while destroying all their enemies. So it was a clever plan, but it was just explained in exposition by the Doctor. It wasn't something we really saw. Yeah, so that all happened, but at the last minute they managed to disrupt their plan and sabotage them and destroy them after they had destroyed all the dog people. And they used one of the passengers, was it? Yeah, the passengers, to basically absorb the remaining energy, because they didn't absorb all of the flux, so they had them absorb the rest of the flux, and they seemed to save the universe. But wasn't the universe destroyed? Wasn't the universe gone? Weren't we just down to planet Earth? There was talk of a way to uncompact or uncompress the galaxy, or whatever had been compressed to the point of being destroyed. Or was it destroyed? Was it just compressed? I didn't understand the explanation, and then we didn't see it actually done. So I'm like, okay, what actually happened to the universe? When Time, who was Jodie Whittaker, basically Doctor Who, showing themselves as Doctor Who, when they said, I've restored you, did they restore everything or just her? I didn't feel like it was really explained, but everything seemed okay. And I'm like, it seems a bit like the writing for Star Trek Discovery, where if you can sort of experience it from the outside and kind of enjoy it from a visceral sort of action emotional level where you're not really thinking, but once you start to think about it, it falls apart. And there also was that sense of the big bad universe ending catastrophe that's too really big that you just feel like you're outside of it, watching it from the outside. It just felt similar to that in some ways. And the Doctor was, I mean, I found the new Doctor a bit annoying. She does great a bit. It's hard to compare to other Doctors though, because I really only had Tom Baker in repeats when I was a kid, and then there was Christopher Eccleston, who I didn't like. I thought he was kind of creepy looking. And then the only other Doctor I saw was the one from the Christmas special with Kylie and the Titanic. That's the only other Doctor Who I think I ever watched. I watched the first season of the reboot, the Tom Baker years in repeat, which I thought was up to date then, but didn't realise it was being repeated like 10 years later when I was a kid, so I didn't know what I was watching when I was a kid. And then that one special, and I think that's it. And then I watched the Doctor, and I'm like, was the Doctor always this annoying? Or is it just her portrayal? I'm not sure. But what made it worse was they had multiple doctors. She somehow managed to split herself between 3 different times so that she could fix all these problems, and it did seem a bit convoluted, and it wasn't really explained how she did it, or was it done to her. I kind of feel like I need to watch the episodes again, but I'm not sure if it's going to get explained, if the explanations are all there, or if it's just that sort of writing where you go, and then you just go to the next thing and hope people don't look back. That's what it felt like. But I've actually gotten to 10 minutes. I wasn't planning to make a video this long talking about this. But I enjoyed the Sultana, forgive me. I enjoyed the episode with their civil war, their war. That was a good one. I enjoyed the Weeping Angels in the 1967 in the village. The in-between time one was just kind of like the last couple of episodes, and the first episode, which just seemed to be setting everything up. So overall, I didn't really enjoy it. It seemed fragmented all over the place. It didn't seem to really work. Everything seemed to have to be explained because it didn't work organically. It wasn't like structured. It was just like, I need to explain this. And the doctors, I need to explain this. I need to explain this. So the story could keep going. I will probably watch it again one day. I'm a completionist. If I do collect the Doctor Who's, I will get all of the Jodie Whittaker episodes, and I will probably sit down and watch it another time. And I don't know. But I found it frustrating, not really enjoyable overall, and like just a kind of, I don't want to say confusing, but I've already said frustrating. I can't think of the right word. But yeah, I didn't really enjoy it. I'm just going to leave it there. I've been talking for 12 minutes, trying to explain and I do take a bit of responsibility for watching it in a slightly fragmented way, but I really don't think the pieces were there anyway. It really feels like the writing just didn't work. But I will have to watch it again, just straight through, just to make sure it's not me. I'm pretty sure it's not. But because I was paying attention and taking notes, which I then reread when I was watching the other episodes, and the ones I did watch were kind of standalone-ish, and there was a standalone-ish episode to some of them, but then there was the ties that were too complicated and required too much prior knowledge. But I'm really going to go this time. I'm not going to get to 13 minutes. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think. There's, I think, 3 or 4 more specials, one on New Year's Day. I will watch them, and hopefully they will be easier to watch.